And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because that's the way that it works sometimes. Sometimes you bite the dragon, other times the dragon bites you. Or in the case of current events, sometimes the dog wags the tail, or sometimes the tail wags the dog. I'm sure I have no idea what I'm talking about. Beyond that, of course, we're also here to try to justify the explanation that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin, and you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. Hi. There's probably some people that kind of wonder, why do I spell that part out? It's because if you draw the letters in all capitals, it's real easy to screw up and look at the J and the I and think they're both the same letter and still have to wonder what letter that is. I'm sure I have no idea what I'm talking about here either, but that's a whole other thing for later. I'm here. I'm back. I know that some folks have been a little bit worried about me over the last couple of weeks, and justifiably so. I don't know that it qualified as seasonal depression. I know that it qualified as depression, and I am exceedingly grateful for the folks that checked in on me and helped me through this. So thank you. Let me go ahead and get you filled up on everything that's going on over here, which includes folks that are over here at the bottom of the screen for you. Checking in from the Midwest of the U.S., which may be a more reoccurring thing than not in the next couple of weeks. Brigid Fitch is here. Good evening.
Good evening.
And
it is -1C here, or 29 freedom units, but it is clear. There is no wind and there's no snow. And like a few days ago.
That's fair. And over on the left-hand side of the coast, Io Cloud, glad you were able to make it. Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. No, actually, I'm feeling like shit. It's not seasonal depression. It's just fucking grieving. Oops.
Perfectly reasonable, all things considered right now.
Yeah, day 58, and I don't know how I'm functional, really. I don't. I've also cracked a rib, thanks to an extra strong hug I had last weekend, and I'm in lots of pain when it comes to breathing deep. Coughing, sneezing, I can't do that. Here it is gray and cloudy and rainy, which is not normal for where I am, but not abnormal. And, you know, I'm just grieving and grieving and grieving. And I'm getting pissed off with all the scammers trying to get money out of my account.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll pay you money. I'll give you a blessing, but you need to verify, or you need to send me $50 in order to start it, to make sure that you're real.
Yeah. So we're all here. I haven't heard from Tech at the moment as far as to where he is. It's very likely that he's sleeping off New Year's still. It's plausible. Don't get me wrong. What it would take for that boy to get drunk would probably hold him over for a couple of days. So I'm holding out on that one. It's also entirely plausible that he's just laying low right now. Again, entirely plausible. Because, well, get to that in a couple of seconds. If you'd like to join us as we record live, of course, feel free. Here we are on the East Coast of the U.S., where it is just after midnight, Saturday into Sunday. Feel free to join us. And you can be part of the live chat over here like Stephanie, who is also reminding us, morning. I will not say good morning, as the USA is deep under dieu. No argument from this crew. None whatsoever.
What?
Oh, yes, and before I completely forget to check in on this, because it's semi-traditional, I pulled it up. Currently, it is a heat wave in Yellowknife at minus 26 Fahrenheit, meaning it comes in at minus 32 Celsius. It is a veritable heat wave right now. It should be about, 10 degrees colder. But, is what it is. Actually, the winds are almost calm right now, too. 2 kilometers per hour. I can walk faster.
Yeah, that's calm.
Hell, I can crawl faster than that. Don't ask me to prove it, though. That would hurt.
Negative 26 Celsius in Yellowknife. That's t-shirt and shorts weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flip-flops.
Yeah. Well, no, because they got snow on the ground.
Well,
Trust me, it's t-shirts and shorts weather. I used to live not quite that far north, but about an hour as the crow flies from the border.
Yes, but flip-flops have no grip.
I didn't say flip-flops. I said t-shirts and shorts.
I know. Just pointing that out.
Yeah. Before you start your freestyle, I do have a dilemma that I would like to share with the audience and with the crap crew. My Super Bowl picks have been busted and then some. I don't know who's going to go to the Super Bowl now. I think the Seahawks. And I don't know who else.
I would very much love for the Bills to win. However, I would be happy to make sure that no New Jersey football teams go. I'll be happy with that.
I don't think they're going to.
I don't think so either, but, the Jets, the Giants, they can piss off.
I'll have to check ESPN and find out all the scores on all the games, but Seahawks have won their conference, so it looks like they may be going.
Hey, for all of you just wondering why I went cold, because I just put on the lidocaine patch that's supposed to numb my painful rib. I asked the doctor for pain relief, not painkillers. I didn't want to take a pill. And she said, hey, I can give you lidocaine patches.
Cool. And also, before I get started on all that, I'm also going to point out a little something. This is my laptop. There are many like it, but this one, let's see. I'm not sure which specific model it is off the top of my head. It is an HP 2000. It, depending as to when you figure it was released originally, or the one that I've got over here. This one was probably released somewhere, let's say 2007. Okay? Because the model set was originally released in 2006. It was discontinued in 2008. So let's say 2007. Why do I say is instead of was? I say is because this beauty is still running just fine for me for what I need, which is mostly just, writing. Because, I know, but Google Docs makes it terribly simple for me to, keep writing things like the horrible scopes at work when I need to. Folks, Linux Mint is perfectly fine if all you're doing is simple stuff on really old hardware, like almost 20 years old. It's perfectly fine. What do you have to replace? Upgrade the memory, which is, for these, still a little cheap. And replace the hard drive with something, less spinny. $100 if you get one of these because somebody's thrown them away. Not including, of course, maybe a replacement battery or a power supply replace, but folks, there is no excuse to continue working with Windows anymore, especially 11. Don't do that.
It sucks.
Oh, it's beyond sucks. It's just
11,
11's bad. 11's
and the
bad.
AI crap trying to put, ugh.
Yep. And if you want to wonder how bad it all is, just go looking up for information on AI, opt out, and take a look for various programs that you've got. I've had to go into Firefox. I've had to go into Chrome. I'm not thrilled about it in any way. And every time some Google product comes up and says, hey, would you like the AI information about... No.
No.
Do you want to turn this? No.
No.
Thanks.
Bad news about Firefox, though.
Yeah.
They're going to be integrating with WaterFox. Why? For more
What's-
AI features, because their CEO is a dumbass that doesn't understand what people want. We don't want more AI. That's why we're using Firefox.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I'm giving serious consideration to checking out various other browsers and such just to see what's available these days. Sometime in the near future, maybe we'll kind of do a semi-techie talk about this kind of stuff.
That'd be cool. Get tech involved, and yeah, that would be sweet.
Yep. And chiming in over Lexa, hi. Lexa chiming in so much bad in Win 11. So much. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as somebody whose original computer was an Amiga 2000 back in the day, I'm with you. Trust me,
This
if
whole Copilot garbage is just garbage.
It is.
I'm
It is.
tired of it. I keep fighting it, and I'm like, shut up.
If it was something that was just a locally host speech analyzer for specific commands, and that's all, I wouldn't mind that so much. No, this whole everything has to be connected to the internet in order for it to work. Yeah, I have a finger for that. And
Well,
most of you all do
finger
too.
for, and I know that you don't have much of a problem with it, but I have issues with going, hey, Google, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I turned that off.
I
Duncan-
keep trying to turn it off on my stupid phone, and it just does not want, it keeps going, well, would you like to vote? And I'm like, no, leave me alone. I'm not going to go, hey, Google, blah, blah, blah. I refuse.
Like I said,
On
if I
principle.
could just do it on like a server in my own house,
That's
maybe.
different.
Although knowing full well how things are, the idea of making hexadecimal Mark II do anything like that is problematic in my head, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway, Stephanie's also pointing out, I'll have to change from Firefox. Shujin, I would appreciate any advice when I've got something worth telling you about. I'd be happy to tell you about it.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that plays out. So how's about I get us rolling over here? I will take that as a yes. So let me go ahead and do that. So
Rolling.
with 5 minutes on the clock, your 5-minute freestyle starts here. Voyagers. Now, there are some people that are going to be thinking, well, wasn't that the Star Trek spin-off series? No, that was Voyager. Good try, though. And considering that the name of the episode shares some similarity with an episode of Voyager, I can see where you might be thinking that. Voyagers, well, you might also now be thinking of the inspiration for the first Star Trek movie. But that was Voyager 6, and Voyagers, yes, it could be 1 and 2. It's not that. Voyagers, and I should have actually written it with an exclamation point, was a TV series in the early 80s. It was kind of cool to watch. the idea was that this guy with a time machine, you might call it, was able to travel through time, go to various historical events, and on the what was called an Omni, because it basically looked like a pocket watch, it had two lights on it, one for green, one for red. Red, blinking red, meant that there was something wrong with history, and the Voyager, Phineas Bogg by name, was supposed to try to set things correct so that the timeline worked the way that it was supposed to. He had himself a little traveling companion, a young kid who was very good with history, and they eventually fixed various problems that were supposed to happen or not happen, as the case may be, which sounds suspiciously like Doctor Who or the Time Tunnel or various other things like that. Loki. So I've been thinking about it because there have been a couple of times where people have said, wouldn't it be great if you could be a time traveler, to go back in time and fix things? Well, you can't, but you can fix things now because little things add up. They pay out dividends later. Okay. And I'm bored with that. I got no problem with that. Because as the running joke goes, we are all time travelers. We just travel forward in time, 1 second per second. Now, somebody had also said, what if this actually is the lesser timeline? What if someone has already gone back and tried to correct for things and screwed it up, and we are just in the timeline that we're in because this is still the fixed by comparison timeline? That's a terrifying thought. I'm very glad that as we know it currently, time travel is not a possibility. I'm not saying impossible, I'm saying not a possibility. There's a difference. Could someone go back in time? Maybe. It's plausible. But there are problems with that, because when you start going into it, that then ends up with the question of, well, if you go back in time and you change something, you run into the grandfather paradox, because if you change it enough where you were never born in that timeline, you can't go back to fix the timeline, so you're going to live because you didn't go back and screw everything up for yourself. Or, conversely, the possibility that, yes, you do go back in time and you screwed it up so much that you don't exist in that timeline, so you are now transferred from one timeline to another, and there are an infinite number of parallel dimensions. Here's the problem. We have the chance now to make things work better in the future. We can't change what's happened. We don't have that ability. And even if we did, the possibilities for catastrophic annihilation is too high. Because if people decided that they wanted to go back in time and more than one goes back in time, well, that's mutual annihilation, because multiple people materializing in the same physical spot at the same physical instant as bad. But we can change what happens going forward. We have that ability. Sometimes it just takes one little step, one person doing one thing, because there are literally hundreds of millions of us out there. Everyone, half with one good thing that fixes something. Think about how powerful that is. And just remember, once the avalanche has started, the pebbles have no say in the matter. You know, the funny part of it is I don't remember who it is that said that. I know that I wrote it in a story of mine. I just don't remember where I acquired it from. Don't know that it really much matters, but it's pretty much true. Knowing my luck, it's probably an old Greek saying at some point for, you know, a landslide or something. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens later. What do you guys say about kicking off the horrible scopes right about now? Again, I was hoping for something a little bit more, you know, high. Cool. Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, Twinkle just decided that my leg was a climbing post by jumping up to my thigh twice.
Is there blood?
Oh, I don't know. I'm wearing pants. It hurts.
That's perfectly fair. So let's do that then. Time for the horrible scopes. For those of you that know your astrological sign, cool. Those of you that don't, I don't care how you figure it out. I recommend a D12, and if you don't already have one, you can buy one from your local game store. Support your local artists. Support your local vendors. Because Lord knows, even just a little bit every once in a while helps greatly. Let them know that we sent you. Now, it is the new year, as was previously mentioned, and we're back, baby. Yeah, sorry about the recycled scopes that I posted the last couple of weeks, but I mean, it's tough to read when you can't read the page or however that song goes. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to get you rolling this week and with this year, with what we do best. Never letting you know what we're going to suggest next. So, buckle up, get ready to wonder what's right around the corner, because we're here to jump scare you. Aries, there is something to be said for consistency, especially if it's very public and can be spot checked with literally zero effort. Your company's Employee of the Month Awards. It started strong this past February, but literally stopped with June. For those of you that are able to count on your fingers, that is a whole whopping 5 months worth of photos in the break room. This leads us to wonder why the practice was stopped. So this week, we actually know what stopped it. You're the only employee of your company, and watching yourself on the wall was getting a little creepy. Start employing your pets and make them Employee of the Month instead. Brigid Hahn, you do know that you're on mute still. Is Brigid Hahn not on? What happened
I don't know
over
where
here?
she is. I don't know. Right now, I have an attack kitten.
Okay. You want to pick it up and we'll figure out where Brigid went to?
But, fine. Taurus! You know your memory is bad, and yet you still think you'll remember to do something later in the day. Lucky if I remember to do something in the same room. Hell, could be something later that same hour, and you'll forget. Same moment. You need to stop relying on yourself like that and start using something more trustworthy. No, not your smart devices either. So this week, buy yourself a pocket-sized mini notebook and pen, and use them to remember things, assuming you can read your own handwriting. I'm going to hurt you, cat. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I feel it.
We can hear you. You know that. Okay. Not knowing where Brigid has gotten off to at the moment, we'll just keep going. We'll see how this plays out. Gemini. Actually, would you like to go ahead and do Gemini and then I'll pick it up?
Yes, Gemini. We all like food, of course, but you keep coming back to you loving to make food for some reason. But we finally found a reason to follow your lead. Dinner for two at a barbecue joint can cost upwards of 60 American rupees, or 100 Canadian dollars. But seeing as how we can buy nearly 4 times as much meat for the same price, we'll just do that and make it ourselves. So this week, you got any suggestions on good barbecue sauce recipe? We don't want to keep using the craft brand stuff anymore. It's just, no.
As was stated,
You're not.
craft brand barbecue sauce. The only valid use for it is if you are making recreations of the McRib. And why would you do that?
Go ahead. Complain. I dare you. I dare you. Yeah, you're getting all the attention right now, aren't you? She's only 4 months old. Give her a break. Well, maybe 5 by now, I think. Something like that.
Fair enough. Cancer Moonchild, did you know that there's a whole next level of security where card-based gambling is concerned? Counting cards is frowned upon at the casinos, but it's even worse when players are able to memorize the deck designs to know what card is on the other side. Now, this is 100% true. Some players were able to look at the cross-hatching of tournament cards and know who had what cards based on how they were offset. So the casinos had to make sure all the decks they used later were completely identical. So this week, place your bets on if you think this story is real or bogus. Some of you will win, some of you will lose, but only the dealer knows for sure. And now, I'm pretty sure, Brigid is back enough to pick it up where we left off.
Okay. Making sure I'm on the right one. Okay. Taurus.
Nah, you're at Leo now.
I'm Atlanta. Sorry. I had to go grab food.
Yeah, and we just kind of...
Hypoglycemia. Sorry.
It's okay.
The winter skies are getting shorter, but you can still have a blast viewing them from a good set of binoculars. We keep talking about this because it's an awe-inspiring moment, looking at the planets and stellar clusters with little more than liquefied sand to help you. So this week, if you're wondering how to choose a letter bino, just read how big the aperture is, usually listed in millimeters. The bigger, the better. And always test them first.
Virgo. What's the matter, Virgo? Can't seem to get a hang of that new hobby you wanted to learn, Virgo? You've set your expectations too high, sweetie. You need to learn how to do it wrong before you do it right. Plus, let's also point out, if you never make a mistake, how will you know how to fix it when you finally do? So this week, Virgo, you are more valuable than you give yourself credit for. Give yourself a 10% raise. You've earned it.
Libra, time to go through your clothing and see what doesn't fit anymore. Now, it don't mean that you've gained or lost weight, but fit your style. You keep changing what you wear and what you like so often, it's hard to know what to buy you. Do you like gloves for driving? How about fingerless gloves, or maybe artist's gloves that make you look like you're Gambit from the X-Men? So this week, we forbid you from wearing anything that was manufactured in the early 70s. There is so much rayon and nylon in that material that one bad spark from a fireplace could ignite your entire outfit, fuse the stuff to your body. You want to be known for having permanent bell bottoms on your legs? Yeah, okay, see, yeah, no, stop it. No, you do not.
Yeah. Your seasonal downtime needs to be filled with something other than extra sleeping time. Don't get us wrong, sleeping is good, but you need more than that for a fulfilling life. So this week, try to cook and eat everything you have in your pantry. Obviously, not things like paperware or cleaning supplies. You wouldn't want to eat those, but use a little of everything you have. You know, like learn to make a proper bechamel sauce for once. Your Sunday spaghetti dinners will love it.
Sagittarius, pledging money and fundraising for charity is great. Pledging yourself to the Polar Bear Challenge is a little extreme, but okay. The fact that EMS was dispatched to the event specifically for you was a little weird until the truth was discovered. So this week, the next time you plan on chilling your skin's temperature to near room temperature, remember to take off your smartwatch first. Did you see how scared those ambulance workers were? Did you see badge 502 shaking his head and saying no? Don't scare us like that. You don't want to meet EMS that way.
Or maybe you do. Now, the big question, of course, is that story real or made up? We will tell you later, if you remember to ask. Capricorn, with the new insulation you invested in, you don't need to spend so much on heating your home. Now, this is, of course, a double-edged sword, because, yes, you have a little more spare cash in your coffers, but you've also decided to take up lounging at home naked. Which is perfectly fine. You know, we're not going to harsh on your yum so long as you don't order anything for delivery requiring a signature. So this week, buy and set up a mirror right next to your front door. You'll be able to make sure that you are correctly dressed for whatever occasion that door requires.
Aquarius. Being snowed in this winter isn't fun when the power goes out. But when it does, but the roads are still impassable, what else is there to do except hunker down and play video games? One of the best parts is all the high-res 3D open world games that make your computer rev up its cooling fans. Because if you need extra heat, what better excuse could there be? So this week, use some of your leftover holiday money and help an indie dev sell a program or three. They'll appreciate it a lot. Question is, how do you play video games if you don't have any power?
Sorry, Io, you're up next, right?
Yeah, you want it?
No. Just want to move along. Just want to keep moving along here.
Why were you wondering? What's
We're
going
just
on?
we're just gonna move it along here because we're not gonna delve too deeply into the question. We're just gonna move right along. We're just gonna blow right on past that question. You're not helping me out here.
Fish face. I mean, Pisces. There's nothing wrong with planning ahead, and what better thing to do to plan for than dessert for breakfast? There's nothing wrong with having breakfast for dinner, but why do people keep thinking ice cream, pie, and cake isn't worth enjoying your morning with? So this week, learn how to make your own tiramisu. Because then you can control the level of alcohol used more for the weekends. Obviously. And you can honestly say you're not day drinking. You caught me. How did you know that I was drinking wine?
If you're making wine in tiramisu, we are going to have some very angry Italian words later.
No, but I'm drinking wine. Pinot Grigio.
But that would not fit in tiramisu. Sorry.
It would not be a very good tiramisu at that point.
No, I am drinking alcohol right now.
No, that's fine.
I would go with like a nice bourbon or something if you're doing tiramisu. Or maybe some Kahlua if it's chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm drinking alcohol because it's been 58 days, and even during the wake, I wasn't drinking enough.
That's fair. And remember, we found out what my limit is. 1.5 liters of wine during a 2-hour show. It's just over the limit.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your horrible scopes for this week. If you like what you got, I'm going to suggest that you seek a medical review for that one. But if you'd like to influence how these things go, you can always ask or literally bribe me with, fungible assets, because you don't need all of what you've got. I'm going to assume. You can get me over on the coffee page. It's coffee.com/Icarus the Lunar Guard. I'll have these posted as usual at the end of the week. Tumblr, Facebook, Coffee, Discord, BlueSky, because, BlueSky is a hell of a lot better than that other place. For various reasons that we're not going to go into right now because, no thank you. This is episode 559 on the docket, Your Honor. A Year of Hell. Like I said during the 5-minute freestyle, the Year of Hell was an episode of Voyager. And for them, it literally was a year where everything went wrong and everything went bad. So much so that they had to destroy a ship that was selectively changing time by removing pieces from existence. Well, they destroyed the time ship, which reset everything a year, and they never had to deal with all that. This past year, even though it's not quite been a year of this new regime, no, I will not call it an administration because it's not. It's not quite been a year yet. Feels like it's been 10. So we'll kind of reminisce about a couple of things that maybe are good, some that are memorable for other reasons, and what we're hoping for ahead, because after a couple of weeks of being down and bad, I want to kind of slide into new year, new us, no resolutions to speak of, other than 720 on YouTube, because that's all I can guarantee most of the time. So, I'll start off, like I said. Depression, the end of this year, was bad for me. I have nothing that I can attribute it to other than just the existence that I've got. It's not fun. It's not pretty. But there you go. I keep trying. I'm still here. I have no interest in giving up anytime soon. I mean, look at it this way. Things go the way that they're supposed to. I've got about another 30 years still left in the bank. I'm not cutting that short anytime soon. So, thanks for being here and with me. And like I said, those of you that were trying to help me out, it's been appreciated. Just thank you. Just thank you. Io, the long and short of it for you, of course, we know full well this has not exactly been a banner end of the year for you.
To put it in the shortest way possible, because I don't like hiding my emotions behind I'm fine, because I'm not. No, I'm not doing good. My heart aches, my head hurts, and all the mess he left behind is killing me slowly. I've been digging through paperwork and paperwork and paperwork and boxes and boxes and boxes to find anything that was sellable so I could have money for rent for this month. I have no idea if I'm going to have money for rent for next month. I've lost the peace I'd found with him. I really don't have the strength to do the impossible, which is to manage the estate, get it resolved and finalized. And I'm losing the will to carry on. I don't know what's keeping me going, not even Twinkle, really. And I've been writing my will because it probably won't be me doing something, but I have broken heart syndrome. And I get funky ass beats occasionally. Enough funky ass beats in a row, I'm gone.
Yeah, let's not do that. And as an aside, by the way, Colleen, hi, see you over there. Brigid, not exactly been a great end of the year for you either.
Yeah, but considering how screwed up it was, it is going into the journal, and if this memoir that I'm hoping to put together comes to be, it will be just another chapter in the journal.
Hopefully, in short order, it will be quote unquote just another chapter. I really, really, really hope that it's just a speed bump more than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so do I. Time will tell. I have some, things that I'm going to, work on that may take, several months to make happen, but I will do what I can. Uh, and one thing I'm grateful for is that at least I have the support of, hubby and kiddo, and, they're going to advocate for me and, do some research and do what they can. It's going to be a fight, but, I know that, and at least knowledge helps. So I'll know what to expect. I took a lot of lessons from Beth Hambridge, rest in peace. But yeah, I mean the things that she had to go through, I took note of, and at least am armed with that knowledge, which is going to be helpful. So I won't be, you know, um, devastated if it takes more than one attempt. I do try to pay attention to what's going on with other people and, take note and use that to my advantage if possible.
Fair enough.
That's a good, good tool to have.
Okay. I do have some good news that I can give. It's only for a select number of people, but as the expression that I like to use, my circles will appreciate that I am happy about this news. I had put out the word a little while ago that I was looking for someone who goes by the name Cheska Muraday. Cheska and I have known each other through the internet, through various art circles it's been a long time. We are brother and sister in crime, is the expression we use for each other. And Cheska had gone radio silent for an uncomfortably long amount of time. Normally, there'd be some posts on Facebook over on a couple of the fur sites that I frequent, a couple of art sites. Nothing. And I put out the word to try and find some information. Wasn't able to get anywhere for a bit. Earlier today, I did get information. She is alive, which was one of the big things I was actually really, really worried about. That she just disappeared. She's currently in an area where cell coverage is spotty at best, and power service is occasionally dubious. So, I am exceedingly happy. I am exceedingly relieved. I do not believe that she subscribes to see the show, best of my recollection. But I'm not posting it out there in general at the moment because I want to kind of wait a little bit out, and if plausible, find out what information she would not be against having released, all of what I've said is vague enough. But the important part is that I don't have to worry so much about her at this point, because that I don't want her to go before I've had the opportunity of giving her right proper physical hug. I don't know that it's likely I'll be able to anytime soon, but I'd really like to. So,
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that. Would have been nice if Santa had actually thought to bring that a little bit ahead of time. That would have been really nice. Fucker. Sorry, what? No. So I got that going for me. So that's good. So yeah. In a situation like this, you know, at the end of the year, folks, you really need to remember sometimes just pure survival sometimes is an honorable enough goal. Don't discount that, the fact that you made it.
Yep.
There's some people who are also going to go ahead and remind you that, you know, every day is another year ahead from where you were a year ago. Yeah, but, you know, the human species got this thing about mile markers, man. Don't harsh my yum, you know? Don't do that. Don't be that guy or gal or attack helicopter, whatever. There are some people right now who are just like, what? Thank you. But, you know, we're still here, tough as it might be. What's going on in the current news cycle, however?
Oh, bloody hell.
In some respects, completely inaccurately so. I saw a political cartoon that was just perfect. Somebody is asking Ciro Mussolini, well, now that you've acquired all that oil, what are you going to use it for? The next panel has him dumping 55-gallon drums of black something or other all over large stack of large paper, the title of which is Epstein Files. Somebody understood the assignment. So to clarify, for those in 2389 that are watching tonight, for whatever reason, which, by the way, hi, did we survive the apocalypse? I mean, by that point, there's probably been about 14 or 15 of them. I've got my card around here somewhere, my punch card for it. There are a couple of things that are going on with the second Trump regime. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say it. At the end of this year, this previous year that we've just finished up in 2025, there have been a number of pieces of legal documents that have been put out into the aether that were supposed to have been completely unvarnished, shall we say, unfucked around with. I know I shouldn't have said it that way, but there you go. One of which was what's been termed the Epstein Files. Correspondences, emails, documentation, and such about Jeffrey Epstein and all of what went on with him and his endeavors. I am incredibly glossing over more accurate representations, but read it over so that you can understand it, because it's safer for me to kind of skirt around the issue just a little bit. I know. It's not glamorous, but hey, it keeps us on the air, as it were. It was supposed to have been released, unmucked around with. Somebody went through with the equivalent of black Sharpie marker over paper to block out a lot of inconvenient names. and did it poorly.
Yeah, they used Adobe and they didn't have the proper Adobe to do it with, so it's real easy to highlight and see everything. Because, of course, they screwed up.
And they paid a shit ton of overtime to a shit ton of people to do it. And the best part, and Brigid, I want your laughter on this one, the best part about it is, as was stated, they didn't even use the paid for Adobe product so that they could do it the right way. They couldn't fucking afford to get the software license.
They're too cheap.
Yeah.
Their priorities are misplaced on what they're spending funds on. And then some.
Yeah.
This whole, Doge efficiency cutting all the things and is ending up costing billions upon billions more than what it was even supposed to save. And that's just now to rebuild everything that Doge broke is probably going to cost trillions when all is said and done.
It also,
After if another administration actually gets in, and is competent. I agree with you about calling this a regime. And, I figure if it's good enough for Dr. Timothy Schneider, the, you know, European historian, um, and professor, then, it's good enough for me. I have a lot of respect for Timothy Snyder and, Anne Applebaum and Heather Cox Richardson and Ruth Ben Ghiat are on the same page.
yeah. And I just dropped something into the show notes so I can add that in later. There's also something that came across my feeds earlier today that the Trump regime, as part of its cost-cutting measures, has decided that they're going to take the research library for Goddard NASA and bin it all.
Yep, I saw that.
Now, I want people to understand. I am not against getting rid of and recycling no longer used pieces of anything. The problem is, how do you justify what does and does not have value when it comes to fucking information? One of mankind's greatest, and I mean greatest, inventions is the written communicative work. Literally, it is the greatest invention in the history of this planet. And I say that with no compunction whatsoever. And I can justify it. In times gone by, if you wanted quote unquote generational knowledge, you had to communicate the information from one generation to the next and hope that the information was not only passed down, that it was passed down in time before the person who had the knowledge died before they could pass it along, or better yet, that it was communicated accurately and remembered accurately and then transmitted accurately. Because too many steps for it all to just go bad. But with the written communicative work, it doesn't matter when someone dies, so long as it's written down and it's still available to be referred to later. You can have, and currently we have, generations upon generations upon generations upon generations of information. We have written examples going back easily And I say this easily 5,000 years. Easily. Shit. The ancient tombs, the pyramids of Egypt, the great ones, were beyond ancient. When we think of ancient Egypt in hieroglyphics, and they had information in them. We have the cave paintings that were found in France that showed stuff. We have others on cave walls where they didn't understand why the paintings were done the way that they were in these weird striated patterns until finally somebody had a light source beaming in on them and the tall grass moving back and forth. And they finally realized, oh shit, these are moving paintings. So the idea that they are literally burning books of upper knowledge? Folks, what the absolute, and I cannot stress this enough, fucking hell.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for the comments on Fark. And if you don't know Fark, you know, if you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't. But there was a link to a story about the removing of these tomes of knowledge from Goddard. And one of the people in the thread mentioned that they actually did work for Goddard, that the original plan was to relocate these tomes to, another facility that was supposed to be, expanded, but these things are not being relocated. And the relocation was supposed to be done over a period of years and not just willy-nilly in months. Also said that there were parts, and I'm still looking for the thread, I can't find it. But there were parts of the library in Goddard that NASA ended up having to go back and reference because there were some, issues with, um, a planned exploration or something. Um, and they were actually going back to look at the propulsion system that got us to the moon in the first place and having to reference that. So some of that knowledge is still being used and is still important. Um, it's one of the requirements is, of course, they're going to, try to upload it on, scan it and upload it. But some of the documents that were requested fairly recently needed to be in color because of the charts and the graphs and everything. And with it being scanned, it's not in color, it's in black and white.
But it's a trivial thing these days. And for those of you, oh shit, I gotta find this. I gotta find this later.
And the thing about these being, being archived or whatever, these tomes should be sent somewhere, like, I don't know, a museum or a foundation or something to archive and keep those books. And they're not even sure what has been scanned, what hasn't. There's no way to verify it. No one has checked with the scientists who still work at Goddard for their input as to what they still find useful and what they are okay with getting rid of. They're just tossing them willy-nilly. And the plans to relocate these were supposed to be go to the first floor, remove the books, send them wherever they're supposed to be, remove the shelving, and then proceed on to the second floor and do the same thing. Item, the shelving is not removable at all. And this is per someone who works there now. And there's also a couple of people in that thread who were employed by Goddard, but due to the budget cuts were cut off, eliminated like in February, March. So yeah, it's not just a loss of knowledge, but that needs to be handed down between the generations. But if NASA was recently having to refer to some of these old, um, journals to use for current issues that they're having, they're still important, unless you want to kill off NASA altogether, which could be the goal, is to cut off NASA altogether and privatize all of it. There's that.
Colleen's got an interesting question. How much longer till we are third world? You know what?
We're headed there very quickly now.
I was going to say it was going to take an inordinate amount of time to make it up to that level, but I mean, sure, yeah, whichever way you want to look at it.
We're headed that way with a quickness.
Up to that level is what I was saying. To reach
the third world because we're like fourth.
There you go.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, we're fourth level country now instead of third. How about that? It's kind of hard to accept that that's where we are as a country, but truth hurts. Between our failing infrastructure, our institutional knowledge being taken away from us, and books being pulled out of libraries and banned or destroyed. Kids no longer being taught cursive in school, so therefore they're unable to even sign documents. That's a problem. I mean, I see our society dumbing down and declining rapidly. And I hate to use dumbing down because some people may take offense to that, but I will give you an example of a dumbing down issue that my husband is currently having with teaching college level courses for people in their second year of college, maybe their last semester. He is supposed to be teaching critical thinking classes, logic classes, contemporary moral problems, ethics. And, students are required to do these assignments, do the reading, and write papers. Some of the people writing papers are functionally illiterate, and you cannot figure out what the hell they're even trying to say. And they're using like a font that's 4 times larger than what is required. Their essays and papers are like 5 sentences long, or a big run-on sentence that would take about 5 sentences. And you cannot even make heads or tails of what they are saying because the grammar is so bad, the spelling and the punctuation make no sense. And that meme about, hey, ate the tits. No, God knows such as look for, the meme. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
I'm going to go with no at the moment, but that's okay. Keep going.
I'll have to find it, but it's on a shirt. And I know that it's been on Facebook a whole lot, and I'd have to see if it's in my dank meme stash. But I mean, it's gibberish. It's word salad. And a problem that he was, having was teaching them the concept of categories. Now, this is something that most of us learned in kindergarten or first grade. You take a bunch of marbles, right? And you put them, into like size order, or you line them up by colors or whatever. That's what kids do with marbles, and they play with marbles. This is something young kids that are in preschool and grade school know how to do, usually. And I say usually. In examples, he's trying to explain the concept of categories and subcategories to people who are in their second year of college. They're taking courses, to advance their careers because they've already got a job or whatever. And so he lists, um, a category of a vehicle. Okay. Vehicle
Okay.
is a good place to start. That's a category. Subcategories of vehicles. He used simple examples like, you got a truck, a car, an ambulance, a motorcycle, you know, um, a Jeep. Those are types of vehicles. And he kept it simple. And then he said, okay, so you choose a car. Is the car red, green, yellow, blue, black? So the category is a vehicle. The subcategory would be the types of vehicles. And then the subcategory of, like, if you choose a car, would be a color of a car. And we're not getting into make and model and all that garbage. Just simple, you know, or you take a truck. What color is the truck? You know, and so he explains it in that way, and students come back and say, "You're confusing me. That's too hard." So then he tries again, and he has flow charts. He's got pictures with little icons on it, and says, "Okay, let's try this again." Category: weather. Types of weather: smiley face sun, a puffy cloud, some rain with puddles. And then a subcategory of that, he's like, an easy one would be the rain coming down from the cloud. What type of, precipitation is falling from the cloud? Little snowflakes, little freezing rain, little ice pellets. That's too hard. You're confusing me. And how in the hell is he supposed to teach critical thinking and logic if these students cannot even figure out what a category and a subcategory are? How do you teach someone that cannot do that and expect them to pass a class in 8 weeks? You cannot.
So I want to also point out, if we go with the idea that these are second year college university level folks, we're talking 20 years old.
The
At,
students that he has are like
no, no,
in their late 20s, early 30s.
no, no, no. I got you. Just
Hmm.
if we were dealing at that level, we're talking about people that were born 2005 ish. Okay. So over the last 20 years or so, this would be where their educational experience would have taken them to.
Hmm.
And, as stated, if you go back 10 years before that, maybe they're in their 30-ish.
Hmm.
That takes us back to being born in 1995, again, ish.
Hmm.
And all these times when we've talked about how education has been nickel and dimed for decades upon decades, and you kind of wonder now, why didn't it make sense before? Because, again, the dividends pay out afterwards. If you have fewer well-educated minds, and yes, I am using the correct terminology of fewer and not less in this case,
Yep.
because saying less educated brains and fewer educated brains, those are two different things. Look it up.
Yep. Less educated means you don't have the education, and fewer means you have fewer people.
A lower number of. For those of
Hmm.
you that are kind of thinking of it and going, And it's difficult because we got lucky. Our educational experience here in the US, you and I, got lucky. Me more than you, because I remember your educational experience growing up was sequestered,
Hmm.
and Io, your growing up experience for education was Canadian, which meant you actually had something approaching, I don't know, education.
Um, okay. Back when I was 18, 19, I was a street kid on the streets of Seattle trying to get my American citizenship. Thank you so much, Father, for sponsoring me then. He didn't. I was going to this one youth center because I was still of the age to go there. I was 18 and 19, and their cutoff age was 21. And one of the things that they had was a GED program. Their counselors stuck me in that GED program, and the teacher stuck me without any prep with a bunch of tests to do: English, math, social studies, and science, and I think one other, history. Social studies and history, technically the same, technically different. Social studies more like banking and shit like that. He told me I could do 2 of them, so I did the math and I did the English. I got 95% on both. It had been a year since I was out of high school. I was just barely a high school graduate in Canada with 1 extra credit. 1. And
But
that was a
over,
fluke.
but over the line is still over the line.
It's still over the line.
Mhm.
My mother had told everybody that I wasn't graduating that year and I was going to have to go back for another year. I got my transcript and it said that I had graduated. The teacher took one look at my marks and he asked me, when did I graduate from high school? And I said, last year. Because it was literally a year. It's like May I took this test and I graduated in June. And he said, well, that's what a high school graduate does. They actually have good marks. Because they were expecting me to pull in about 60. Ow, 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 ow. Ribs. Every single time I do the INS prep test, and I'm using history and knowledge from when I was in high school, I get 80%. I'm not trying, and I get 80%.
Yeah, one
Most,
thing that I
most,
would like to say is that, yeah, the No Child Left Behind, I think that the intent was good, but it has been detrimental. Um, another thing, even though my school was kind of sequestered, from second grade on up, when I was 4, I was reading by the time I was 2.5, and reading books like Pinocchio and stuff. By second grade, I was reading at a 12th grade level. Um, I was a precocious little thing, even though I was sheltered. But in first grade, I was in public school. Okay. In first grade, I was in public school, and they were still working on see, Dick, run, run, Dick, run. It was making me nuts because I was already able to read and then some. Um, and so there was a program at the time in Memphis that was called Clue, and it was creative learning in a unique environment. So for half a day during the school day, I went to Clue because it was for gifted and talented kids. So I got to go there, and it was, fun for me. I learned a lot. We didn't talk about dinosaurs and stuff like that, of course not, but it was a cool thing for me to do, and I did well at it. Um, and one thing that I did recently, I've got a book um, that's dated 19, what is it 1999, core knowledge, and it has different grade levels and what's appropriate, and what you should be reading and doing and things like that depending on what grade you're in, and it goes up from first grade to 12th. I was looking at some of the 8th grade requirements back in 1999, and it was recommending literature in there, like I don't know, Ernest Hemingway was one example, and you saw the little chat about Hemingway, and some other classic literature, some poems, going over haiku, all sorts of things that you were expected to know and be able to do, to write poetry and use haiku forms and use other forms. In the books that were included in the 8th and 9th grade literature sections are now on the banned book list. There were some other items on there that was doing conversion factors, for chemistry and, algebra and things like that, that these kids are no longer being taught. They're no longer able to do. And it's all right there in the core curriculum that, I mean, we kept that book as a reference book and we were going to use that, with Miriam. But the things that are in that book now, average high school kids are incapable of doing what is in that book. I looked at it, I looked through it, and I was like, wow, this is a far cry from what they're getting these days. And it was really sad and it was stark in how much it has declined.
And I was making funny looks on my face because I was about to interrupt you and ask, so Pinocchio, so were you reading it in the original Italian? And
No, not the Italian, but the thicker hardcover bound book and not the children's version. I mean, the actual hardcover book that has a lot of pages in it.
I
No
remember
pictures, just the book.
I remember being 3, 4. My mother had the magnetic letters on the fridge, and she had me reading cat, hat, bat, and more in English. By the time I was finished grade 1, I was reading French and English. By the time I was finished grade 3, I was reading fluently French and English, and not just Jean and Luc et Mirabelle, leur petite sœur, which is Dick and Jane and their little sister, whatever their little sister's name was.
Yeah.
see, and that was
Well-
at what grade level again?
Grade 1, I had Dick and Jane, or
Okay.
Luc et Jean, et Mirabelle. Actually, Mirabelle
Yeah.
might have been kindergarten, because
Okay.
I have a doll named Mirabelle that I got from Santa when I was 5. Okay,
And-
she's almost 50 years old. This is the dolly that Santa gave me when I was a little girl and was 5, and I named her after Mirabelle because I was reading the Luc et Jean books.
So what hold
Go
on.
ahead.
Where I want to get to though is at what point were you mutually fluent?
From about
The earliest.
basically kindergarten on, because school was all French, home was all English,
Okay.
with
Now,
with a little bit of French because my mother sang some nursery rhymes to me in French, but she didn't speak French like I spoke French, nor did anybody else in my mother's family.
okay.
So I was bilingual officially up until grade 9 when I dropped out of French immersion because I had an abusive teacher that just threw his weight around and kicked me out.
Okay.
I also ended up
What I was going to say is when I was 4, 4 years old.
Yeah.
I understood how to pronounce words and why. And I remember that, I was with my mom and dad in the car, and they pulled up to, get some gas, and, it said super. And my mom asked me, well, how do you know that that's super and not supper? And I said, because it's a short vowel sound if it's followed by 2 consonants. This is when I was 4. I had that
that's-
figured out.
That's good stuff. Now, what I was doing.
But as a 4-year-old, how many 4-year-olds know that?
Also, when I was 7 years old, I took equestrian camp that summer. So I was just 7. And apparently there was a Spanish speaker there that was very homesick. And I was the only kid that spoke to him in Spanish. When I was 7 years old, I could speak French, English, Spanish, German, Gaelic, Scottish Gaelic specifically, and Arabic and Farsi. I've lost all but French and English and a little bit of Spanish.
Was that
The
because of school learning?
Not because of school learning. That was because Sesame Street, because of my mother's religion, because of my mother's family and the old aunties speaking Scottish,
Okay.
Scottish Gaelic. And my mother had a book on how to speak German, and I read all the way through it, and I was able to speak German.
Okay.
Like, just like that.
The
I
reason
picked it up, and by the time I was 13, I lost all but French and English because I hadn't used it. Yeah, I used the Arabic and Farsi because of my mother's religion and going to the meetings and stuff, but as soon as I stopped being that religion, the words just fell out. I can still pick out the difference between Farsi and Arabic most of the time, but not really. There's no way that you could actually call me bilingual in those languages, but I can pick them out. If I was to spend about a month in those countries, I would probably start speaking it.
Sure. Now, the reason why I wanted to kind of get into this is because I kind of read the numbers really quickly because I don't remember the years off the top of my head. But when I was going from 6th grade into 7th grade, there was a new pilot program in my school district for kids to take a second language. 7th grade. So it makes me about, well, actually, wait a second. Let me run this a second. So I was born in 69. So 7th grade, and you start kindergarten or first grade at roughly 5 years old, depending as to how things are working. So yeah, we'll call it 1981, just for argument's sake. And we had a choice of French, Spanish, German, only the three. Now, admittedly, it's not a great selection, but to the most prevalent Romance languages, and German a little bit more unusual, especially considering, the Cold War was still going on. German seemed a little odd to me, even as a kid, because of that. So, because for me, growing up, remember, there was East Germany, there was West Germany, and ne'er the twain shall meet. Or at least so we thought.
Until the wall fell. Which I was stunned when it happened.
But for kids like me in 1980, 81, 82, this was our first formal introduction to new languages outside of music. Music is where you first learn new words in a new language in a structured environment, outside of things like Carrascolendas, like Sesame Street, like oh crap, I'm trying to think of any other shows growing up where
Electric Company.
Electric Company.
No, Electric Company did not do bilingual stuff. It was English only.
Well, remember, I'm Canadian. I had American Sesame Street. I had Mr. Rogers. I had The Friendly Giant. I had The Tickle Trunk. I had all these American shows as well as the Canadian equivalents, including Sesame Street, which had the French. Although that was more towards 1980 versus the 1970s. And honestly, my mother did the worst thing for me by pulling me out of Ontario. I had a better French education in Ontario than I did in BC. I was 3 years ahead in Ontario compared to the BC education.
Yeah, I didn't. we didn't have, I mean, Sesame Street, I learned how to count, to 20 in Spanish. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as like languages in my, junior, senior high, the only ones offered started in ninth grade, and you could take either Spanish, German, or Latin. And that was it. And because I had band as an elective, I did not have any way to take a foreign language because band was my elective. And but you were right about music and learning things in a different language because if I understand correctly, the terms are all Italian.
Yes. The
And
terms are Italian.
you
A
talk
lot.
about vibrato and rot rotundo, uh, retard,
Pizzicato, legato,
yeah, legato,
da capo, uh, rallentando. Yeah,
yeah,
it's all Italian. And
hmm
sung stuff could be in Latin, could be in German,
hmm
could be in Italian, could be in French. If you're lucky, it's in American English instead of British English, because
yeah, that's a difference.
as we know full well, Stephanie, I implore
That is
you,
a
please,
difference.
please, we know, good King Wenceslas, I know there's words that we mispronounce and we butcher. I'm terribly, terribly sorry. I know. Please don't get on our shit for it. It's the
But
way
you
that it
can listen to
works.
someone like, a lot of British bands do sound English and not UK English, but regular English,
American.
you know, American English, um,
When
with
they're
the
singing.
exception of
When they're
when they're
singing.
singing, with the exception of a band like The Kinks. They sound very British.
The Rolling Stones as well. And I attribute that
Yeah.
because he's just such a flamboyant boy.
Well, he's so flamboyant, but the Kinks, all of their, you know, singing is definitely British. And it's not because they're flamboyant, which at the time some of them were. I mean, Ray Davis was.
Yeah.
But just their vocals were just naturally British
Yeah.
sounding. That was the style of the band.
And let's not get into, I will make reference to it only this once. Let's not go down into the band known as the Sex Pistols, because fuck Sid Vicious. That's as
Yeah.
far as we're going.
Yeah. But like the Beatles didn't necessarily sound British.
Not really, no.
No.
Yeah, because there is most assuredly a what's the word that I'm looking for? Hold on a second. There's a term for it, and I'm trying to remember what the term for it is, where the if you're singing in English, that there is an established, tacitly agreed upon overall pronunciation that is not British. It's
Mhm.
not necessarily American, Canadian, or other. It's just a very, I want to
Easy to
say,
sing.
simplified version.
It is. It's easier to pronounce, the standard American version of English when you're singing.
Um,
I mean, that's true.
Stephanie
Is disagreeing with me?
no. Stephanie saying there are a lot of words you mispronounce, which is why I consider American English a different language to English, British English. I
It
agree.
is.
I agree, especially if you consider that you've got the Louisiana drawl versus the Southern drawl versus the Brooklynese sound versus the Boston sound versus the
Mhm.
California brah. Now,
Yeah,
um,
there's
now,
certainly
now,
regional differences, and they're very pronounced.
Can I have
now,
some fun with this, please? I want to have some fun with this. I need to have some fun with this.
don't lose your train. In British English, let's face it, you have completely different languages when you go 3 counties over. So,
This is true.
we got a thing there. However, it has also said, and what is harmless in English, meaning British English, can be offensive in American English. This is true. This is very true, because the first line that went through my head, I'm not allowed to say. At least I don't believe that I'm allowed to say, because it would be a term of endearment in British English where it wouldn't be here in the States. So in order for me to explain it, before I can explain it to you, I will have to see you next Tuesday in order to explain it to you. Now,
Another interesting thing on that tangent, though,
quickly.
is I watch Rob's Words. Now he lives in the UK. No, he lives in Germany now. He's from the UK. He's also fluent in several languages. But I found out from watching they were talking about naughty bits on a video, and you know how we use the word fanny in the United States, and it means like your backside.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it means in the UK?
Yes, I do. And now, all of you who are looking it up, now you do too. Io, take it.
Okay, when I first came down, I was first going to Munches with Black, my sweet husband. We went to a couple of Munches, and there was these guys that were talking to me, and they were asking me, where I'm from, Canada. But you don't sound Canadian. And I just kind of looked at them, blinked a couple times, and said, that's because I speak Hollywood neutral. Hollywood neutral? Yeah, it's sort of like Hollywood North, but it's more of a neutral dialect. It's basically almost anybody can understand it if they speak English or understand English. And the guys just kind of looked at me, blinked a couple times, and went, all right. Well, then prove you're Canadian.
I know Fred in Toronto. How's that?
Yeah, I know Fred in Toronto.
Try.
They looked at me and said, yeah, she's Canadian. Because I don't say Toronto. I actually have to slow down and say Toronto. But if I'm talking about it, it's Toronto.
Yep.
If it's Vancouver, well, Vancouver.
Just like for
Metro
us,
Vancouver,
if it's
Lower Mainland. If it's Vancouver Island, it's the island.
just like for us, if it's New York, it's the state. If it's the city, it's Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. And this happened a couple of different times. You don't sound Canadian. How long have you been down here? I speak Hollywood Neutral or Hollywood North because that's what I was taught to speak in my English classes, a kind of neutral English that could be used anywhere up and down the coast without the, like, totally, brah.
Oh, God, Colleen's killing me. They'd probably think someone from Wisconsin or Minnesota Minnesota was Canadian, eh? Yeah. Part of my my maternal grandfather, he grew up in Minnesota. Definitely did not have a Minnesota accent, but then again, he also spent some time in the war, World War II, so I don't know if that broke it from him, but if you've never heard an actual proper Minnesota accent, I miss my
I watched
Gigi
Fargo,
so bad.
and I was like, oh my gosh.
I miss my Gigi so bad. She's been gone so long, but I miss my Gigi. That's what we called her.
I spent about 2 weeks in Ontario about a decade ago. And as soon as I crossed the border into Ontario, I was speaking Ontarian. I had Tirana, I had Niagara, I had all of the sounds that are normal for Ontario just because I was home and back there. But Vancouver and the west coast of Canada, Seattle, all that, I have a neutral accent.
Yeah.
You can pick out the Canadianism literally only when I say the word Tirana.
And for those of you that don't know, it's if you want to go to Toronto, you first have to get through the GTA.
The Greater Toronto Authority
area.
Yeah.
There's some people that just don't know about that, and most folks wouldn't unless you've been through there.
Oh, we ended up on the 407 freeway with my handicap plates on, and I did not get a toll. The entire time I was on that freeway, I did not get a toll. I was wondering if they were going to send me a toll because it was a toll roll. Nope. I had handicap plates on. They didn't send me anything.
You went on the 407.
I went on the 407.
Okay. Good on you.
I've been on the 407, the 401, and a couple of the other highways down there.
See, for those of you that don't understand, for those that don't understand, the 407 is this is kind of a weird way of describing it. It is a private highway, and I'm not exactly explaining this quite correctly. It's a toll road. It is a tolled highway system in the Greater Toronto area, the design of which was to bypass some of the Queen Elizabeth, the QEW, because the QE can be backed up for literal kilometers because of various reasons. Usually just how many folks are there. But the 407 was supposed to be there so that if you really wanted to get away from it and get away from some of the folks, you could pay the toll to get through on a straight run. I've just decided it's not even worth doing that anymore. I'll just sit in traffic. I don't care. I don't care. The fact that you didn't get charged by them, good on you.
I guess they saw my tag. It wasn't actually plates. It was the tag that in the mirror. I guess they saw that and just went, "F,
yep,
fuck it,
whatever."
Because we were doing a trip from Vancouver Island to Niagara region because of a stupid TV show, and that's all I will say about that. I'll tell you guys after the show because
I'm going to turn off your audio from the video. You tell me which one it is in 3, 2, 1. You're off. What's the show? Okay. Okay. Sounds back on. I have that ability. I am God. Sorry.
And one thing that I find interesting is my band, Rush, who nobody else likes, on the crap crew, but it's my band regardless.
That's fine.
Most of the time, Geddy Lee does sing, in like neutral American English. Occasionally, the Canadian will come out, like if he's singing something, he'll pronounce day, or day, and in his memoirs and also in some of his singing, the about kind of a pronunciation will come out, and it's not a boat, and it's not a boot, but it's a boat, coach, something like that.
It's about.
That's not how Dalan pronounces it.
Like I said, neutral. He has the Canadian accent, Dalan.
Yeah, he has the Canadian accent, but
then again, he's there in Canada, so
right. I'm just saying that Geddy Lee is from Canada, and occasionally when he's singing, some of the Canadian pronunciations will sneak in on certain words. That's all I'm saying. That's my point.
And it happens to the best of us, and it happens to the worst of us. I
And
mean,
it's fine with him. I mean, Geddy Lee is Geddy Lee, and there is no one else like Geddy Lee. And for the early stuff, he sounded like a hamster sucking helium. So I'm just saying, but older or when he got older and had newer works, a lot more mellowness to his voice. So it's not as grating. But
yeah.
yeah, his early stuff, or he sounded like a hamster on helium or a cat with its tail lit on fire.
And then,
I'll freely admit it.
like I've said before, I grew up on Long Island. Its local accent where I grew up was very much a slightly diluted, typical Italian Brooklyn accent, and I intentionally broke out of that so that I could go into broadcast media, because I learned that if you've got an accent, can you be on the air talent at a
No,
radio station
no.
in an area where that accent is still prevalent? Sure, yeah. But when you're fired, because sooner or later you will be, getting another job outside of that area is going to be really tough. And it's very, very rare to get another on-air berth in the same market that you were just fired from. So when I get especially tired or really upset, or there's a thing, normally you're not going to hear the Long Island accent out of me. Usually. Every once in a while, something creeps in. Okay, whatever. That's just vocal jazz as far as I'm concerned. But you listen to me, most people are just like, I don't know where you grew. What, Ohio? Thank you. That's a compliment. Thank you. Peter Jennings famously also had to break out of the accent that he had. Now, admittedly, his career has kind of gone off in flames. Okay, be that as it may. You listen to his voice, his vocal way. Where did he grow up? Good question.
Okay,
I'll
so
Yeah.
Colleen mentioned something about Dalan having the Albertan accent. That's just it. Dalan's going to kill me, but the Albertan accent is really simple to figure out. It's basically the accent of all the Canadians that couldn't make it across the Rockies.
What I think is kind of funny, speaking
Eh,
of the Long Island, uh,
Ooh, alcohol.
TWIV, and actually they do a whole thing on micro TV, uh, this week in virology, and they do this week in whatever. But Vincent Racanelli, the the virologist that does these and teaches at Columbia, and you know has all kinds of doctorates in this, that, and the other, but he's a virologist. He definitely has that very strong Long Island, New York accent. And also got the Italian in there because he's Italian, 100% Italian. So he has all of what you were talking about the Italian from Long Island going on.
Oh, yeah.
But that's nuts, you know.
And I
And I
just looked
love
it up.
listening to
Yeah.
him.
I just looked it up. Peter Jennings, born Peter Charles Archibald Ewart Jennings.
Wow.
Ewart. Ewart. His third middle name. There's a name for you. Born 1938, Toronto. His first Canadian radio show at CJOH, age 9.
Cool.
So, yeah. Yeah. So, good on him. And like I said, admittedly, he had stuff go on, but we lost him in '05 at 67 years old. Damn. I mean, yeah, there was plenty of time for him to, fix or atone for stuff that he did that was hinky. But, damn it. And he did a lot of good stuff, at least. I'll give him that much. Not the least of which was that his two kids, at least they had normal names, just first and last name. So thank you, appreciate that. So we've only got a couple of minutes left on the whole damn thing.
Hey, can we give a last fuckery for 2025?
You know
And
what?
I'm gonna say this regime and all of the bullshit that they're pulling, just name all of the things. Government shutdowns, the trying to gut, Medicaid and fuck around with Social Security and all of that. It has just been one thing after another. And I think the intent is to wear us down. And I listened to Heather Cox Richardson's, little updates, and she's very calm and soothing, but she compared what the felon does to, all the distractions to a speaker on a stage in an auditorium that, is presenting a topic. And then this asshole will stand next to him on the stage and jump into the orchestra pit because it causes a distraction. And he's going to keep jumping into the orchestra pit over and over again. I thought that was a really good way to put it. It's a visual, and yeah, doing that will cause a hell of a distraction, especially when you have a full audience of people. And then he's like, "Oh, orchestra pit."
Yeah, I'm gonna put in the show notes also. There was something that came through my my video feeds that Legal Eagle had done. That, if I remember right, when I had seen it, was 40 minutes and change of all of the illegal things done by the current regime as of the end of November, something like that.
I need to
So
watch that, but it's a lot.
I will find that. I will link it before I have everything completely gone. Don't worry about that, because I know. Okay, all of you guys out there in the audience, and I know it's only a handful of you folks. I want you guys to understand something a second with all this. We know. This is not my closing, by the way. I just want you to know, we know what it's been like for all of you guys, because it's been the same thing for us too. Don't think that we're special in any way, shape, or form on this. We know how much it's sucked and sucked the life out of everybody and everyone, and sucked the color out of everything. So some of these items that I'm making sure are in the show notes are there for posterity. Don't think that this is our way of saying you must see this and you must feel bad. No. If catching up on stuff like this is just a bridge too far, don't cross that bridge. Make a mental note, okay? Is there? If you change your mind later and you want to, and you can do it safely for yourself, safely meaning for your mental stability, fine. Outside of that, don't. If you don't have to, don't. If you don't need to, don't. And don't think that you're doing anything wrong by passing on that information. So, just if there's anything that we want to do this year, we want to get through it together to the end. Don't hurt yourself in the process, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to make an end talk over here about it, but I mean, if we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna throw a giant fu into the wheels of this departing piece of shit year that it's been, if nothing else, we should make folks remember that it's been soul crushing, and it's fair to feel scared going into the next one because gods. What have we gone through? What could we possibly have come at us next? I speak on behalf of all of us. We don't know. And shit, we're going to do our best to help each and every one that comes through who say, I don't know what to do. We'll help you out as best we can. May not always be great. May not always be good at it, but we'll do our part. And that is a song reference that some people are going to understand. And do I want to put? You know what? Screw it. We could use some pastel pony music in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the glasses are falling off my face.
What else is new?
Nope. I have to. Nope.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I linked in our chat, and Shujin may want to put this in show notes, but there are 2 YouTube channels that are actually kind of cool. One of them is called Words Unravelled, and it's by Rob Watts, who does Rob Words, and author Jess Zafaris. Now she's from the US, and Rob is from the UK, and he speaks BBC style English. But they have fun playing off of each other as far as like we call it this over here, what do you call it in the US? And she's also an etymologist and has written several books. But it's fascinating to watch them play off of each other. Um, Very entertaining. And I love that channel. And then there's another one that Rob Words does that gives, like facts and etymology of words and shows how they came about from, like Proto European languages to, Germanic, and how it's evolved over the years and across different languages. He'll show the similarities in them, and it's just really, really interesting. It's like where the words come from and why we call it a thing. you know um but either of those are just really entertaining. I enjoy them. You may not, but it's not stressful. It's educational. And I find etymology just fascinating. Some people may not. I like to know where words come from, what the root is, and all that junk. So,
Well, we'll see about
you
that.
know,
Sure.
yeah. Thought I'd put that in there just because it's interesting.
Anything you want to give a nice shoe boot kick for while we got it, Io?
Basically the entire mess that I'm dealing with. Write your wills, make sure you have life insurance. It could be the difference between your family surviving or going, what the hell? In the last 58 days, I found a mess that I have to go through and sort through. In those 58 days, I've been scammed by people because, of course, they're going to scam the widow because they can make easy bucks off of me. when I'm desperate for money. I did survive my INS biometrics this week. That was on New Year's Eve. The two women were sympathetic. They understood my grief and treated me with kindness. I was very lucky. I could have been grabbed by ICE because I was in one of their facilities, and they could have grabbed me and I could have been gone. I need help dealing with the estate. I need help dealing with Social Security Administration so I can get survivor/widow's benefits. The problem is that I don't qualify for disability because I don't have the 5 years of work history. I've only had my Social Security number for 2 years. And volunteering does not count. If volunteering counted, I have over a decade of volunteer time. But it doesn't count. I need help to go through all the papers to find the information I need for probate. There's no 401k. I found that. So you asshole, you did not have a 401k or you spent it or whatever. I do have a small nest egg so that if I have to vacate the country, I have money to go. But I need more than 24 hours notice. I need about a week's notice. So it's just because I have it does not mean that it's necessarily there for me. His computers have sensitive data on it that I can't trust to recyclers. I actually need somebody that's very techy to pull the stuff off and to make sure that we have gotten all of where the money is located. Because, of course, the man not only had passwords, he had passwords on passwords, and he even has a key specifically if you try to get into his email account the first time on a new computer. You have to use this password key. You have to touch it. Thankfully, it does not need his fingerprint. Honestly, hate having to ask for it, but I need help. Before I have another heart or head event and I don't survive. I wish other people that are out there, everyone, that they can find the peace that I've lost, the strength to do the impossible, and the will to carry on. Because I have lost my peace. I'm losing my strength. And I don't know if I have the will to carry on.
I'm going to close this out with this. What the fuck? I know there's a bunch of people right now that are kind of like nodding along and just, yeah, man, just, yeah. Because, yeah, that's a fair and understandable feeling right now. And we've shared that through this entire year at various different times, at various different levels.
Yeah.
I mean, we've looked at civilian life. We've looked at political life. We've looked at military life. We've looked at economic life. And there are no norms right now.
Yeah.
All the things that we thought were, to be expected, the things that we've accepted are the way that you are supposed to function, have been thrown out the window.
Yeah.
That's what it is that's happened. This is what happens when you have agreed upon rules, even tacitly agreed upon rules, ignored. Nobody wants to play kickball if anybody can be, I don't know, thrown out by having somebody pick up a rock and hit you in the back of the head with it. That's not how the game is played. That's not how any of this is played. But that's what it's come down to. You have a jump rope competition with double dutch? Cool. You have somebody throw a bolo from out the side to wrap somebody's ankles into the ropes so that they fall over and, crack their teeth out of their face. That's not how any of this is supposed to work. That's not how any of this works. But that's where we are. That's what it is that's happened. It's a complete why follow the rules. That's the problem. So, if you're wondering, how do you deal with that? First, you accept that reality. As the expression goes, tell me where the lie is. That's where we're at. Now, can you change what it is? I don't know. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to dissuade you. I'm saying that because there are, admittedly, our official numbers are minuscule. So much so that they fade into the obscure nothingness. But that doesn't mean that we don't have the ability of doing. We change what we can. No more. We make sure that people are set on the right. We remind people, if you do it wrong, that doesn't benefit. The problem is, these are people who see, I got mine. And if I got mine, you can get yours. Without realizing that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. You don't raise your boat by sinking everyone else's. You raise your boat by raising the tide. We will do our best to raise you, your spirits, your hopes. At the very least, keep you from drowning. Because we've said it a couple of times already, and we're going to say it as often as we have to. We will get through this together. Don't know when. Don't know how. But we will get through this shit together. We got through a year already. And I'll be damned if I'm going to give up now. I'm not going to set any speed records. But you can bet your ass I'm getting through all this. Because remember, good intentions are wonderful. But spite will get you through. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. We got to get out of here. Thank you for being with us. And more importantly, thank you for continuing to be with us. Even if it's your first time seeing us, welcome to the fold. My hope is that by the end of this year, we've got one more person that listens in. Just one. Even if it's just for one show. Because it could be just that one person that needs to hear us. Well, thank you very much for being with us. We hope that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives and you got something to think about for the week ahead. Hopefully, only a week this time. Over on the live chat, thank you guys over there. Lexa, Colleen, Stephanie, guys, thank you. The fact that you guys keep coming back means a hell of a lot to us. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for making sure that we get it right. Because I'm never above thinking that I got it all. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. Io, my highest hopes, of course. Please do try to take care of yourself. Please do not donate more blood to that kitten than you can afford to lose. And I'll talk to you sometime soon. Huh?
She's in terrorize my legs mood. So
Brigid,
I'm just hoping to make it through another day.
sometimes that's all we got. Brigid, thank you for being here. I know it's not under the best. And of course, we're all hoping the best for you on all this.
Thank you.
Now, you got one last opportunity over here. I know that we're over our F limit, but I don't think that you're done with them. You got one for to wrap up last year, and one for this week in particular.
To wrap up last year, I'm gonna say fuck you to the spineless MAGA contingent who keep buckling under this tyrant because there is no excuse. You know what you're supposed to do. You know that you have relinquished your power willingly, and you're assholes for doing that. And you're destroying this country. So you can really go fuck off and keep fucking off until you get to the fence and keep fucking off some more. You know what you did. And you have dishonored your oath of office. And I'm pissed about it. Now, as far as this week, my fuck you is going to go to the tyrant himself, because what the hell are you doing with attacking Venezuela and taking Maduro and his wife into custody and removing them? What the fuck? And calling for the Monroe Doctrine again? Really? No, you're not supposed to run Venezuela. It is not yours.
The Monroe Doctrine. There we go. I will make sure that that is in the show notes because... Oh, and may I also suggest that you kind of tag onto the end of that any enlisted personnel or officers who followed through on that event?
I hope your asses get court-martialed. And I
Hell
hope
yeah.
you do 30 in Leavenworth.
And then another 20 at The Hague.
I
That would
agree.
work too, but we're not ICC signatories, and therefore Hague is not happening.
I so
Now,
agree.
if we happen to change or get rid of this regime and get someone else in there that is a Democrat, maybe, just maybe, we can become signatories of the ICC at some point. It may take a while because we may have to get control of the Senate, which is probably not going to happen, during the 26 elections. But if it happens, you all need to move on that and sign that thing and become signatories. And then all of these asshats, including the tyrant, can go to The Hague.
What was that, Io?
Agreeing with her.
Yeah, what I said.
Yeah, what she said.
What I said.
Every
That's fair.
single person that was a part of that invasion of Venezuela needs to have their fingers wrapped repeatedly for the rest of their lives.
This
Wrapped
is
with
an
rulers.
unjustified war. It is war crimes, what they are
Mhm.
doing. And supposedly there's supposed to be a vote in Congress within the next few days whether they're going to enact the War Powers Act or not. So let's see what happens. Ah,
Told you,
What
folks.
she said.
This is what happens when people decide rules are not to be followed.
yep.
Guys, let's remember one very, very important thing. If Canada decided that they were going to invade the United States, we would not survive it. How can I get away with saying that? Simple. Io knows.
Mhm.
Brigid knows. And now you are going to know. Because the Geneva Conventions were written for them.
Yep.
There was a hill during World War II. The Brits tried to take it. They got mowed down. The Americans tried to take it. They didn't do any better. The Canadian forces, the Dominion of Canada at the time, the guys came through and said,
Hold our beer.
could we give it a try?
Yep.
Could we give it a try? The Brit said, you want to go ahead and lose, men? Go ahead. Guess who took that hill?
Canada.
Goddamned right. So, for those of you that say, Canada, you want to joke about the Canadian Cobra chickens, you want to joke about the moose, all well and good. The Canadians have far better trained people. They don't throw meat into the machine. They grow experienced people.
They burned down a good part of DC and our White House too back in the day.
Burn, baby, burn. What do you call a Canadian at the White House with a box of matches?
A threat.
Repeat offender, threat.
Repeat offender. Yep.
Yeah.
So, just remember, some of us actually know our history.
Mm-hmm. For those who
We
don't, pick up some fucking books.
And you can go down over to NASA and you can get some for dirt cheap before they go anywhere. Any case, still, thank you for being with us. We'll do our best to make sure that we help each other's mood. And the best we can suggest for all of you out there is up yours too. Wait. If you'd like to join us next week, of course, love to have you over here on YouTube. If you need to be in touch with us, all of our contact information is in the show notes. Easiest way is probably to get us over on Discord or over on BlueSky, because screw the other group there socially. You know what I'm talking about without talking about it. And we'll see you soon. Please be safe. And like I said, I don't know that she would be tuning in, but
Shujin, sorry to interrupt you. That thread that I was looking, no, never mind. I was gonna say it's on the main page and not politics. Never mind, go ahead, I'm sorry. I was looking
I
on the wrong place.
feel like a scene from SG-1. Really? In the middle of my backswing?
I'm sorry. I was looking in the politics tab because that's usually where I post things, but it made the main page. But what I was talking about with the people at Goddard, I will copy and paste from the thread after the show to let you know the pertinent stuff. Sorry.
Shujin, you were stuck on an iceberg with MacGyver. We're stuck on a glacier with MacGyver. Mm-hmm. McGadget, McGidget, McUseless.
Sis. I'm just glad you're okay. And thank you. So, until the next time we're together, everyone, as always, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And my lady, it's going to be 21 years. Who knew? I am still in love. Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone, as always, good night.